What exactly would be the opposite of that? What would Kenyans need to do to start to fully fund these projects in infrastructure? Well, to speak into some of that, well, is the fact that, of course, this money would ideally come from things like pensions, your savings, and, of course, things like life insurance. And why are these funds so woefully low? Well, that's the first question that we want to put to our guest here in studio. She is Irene Nyaga, Principal at the Institute of Pensions Management. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Peter.
Now, first off, the fact that Kenya's national savings tend to be woefully low as compared to the rest of the world, why do you think this is the case?
I think one of the issues have been our culture. We are coming from a culture that didn't belong in saving, and when we save, we don't want to save for long term. One of the challenges has been that communication has not been there or has not been effective, and that is why we are coming in and saying we have to intentionally communicate and sensitize our society and community that we need to begin to save for the future. The other issue is about trust, and I want to be sure when I give you my 50 shillings today for the next 20 years, I can be able to get that money and with the interest that comes with it.
For a lot of Kenyans, especially because we are allegedly seeing this second generation of government, so to say, employees start to go towards retirement. Most Kenyans were not used to saving, even those in formal employment. You had this situation where you used to work to support your parents in the rural areas, and that has sort of carried forward.
Yeah.
How then do you start to have the conversation with people that you need to start to save for yourself rather than expecting that you will depend on your children and grandchildren?
And thank you, Peter. That is where we are coming from. In fact, we have come from all the way from where the old, or when you retired, you became a responsibility of the community or the village. And we have transitioned from that to where now the parents were taken care of by the children. But we are looking at a generation where we are now that we can't say, I'm going to depend on my children to take care of me when I've grown. Reason being, there's all the possibilities, there are chances, there are opportunities where I can save as little as I could have without having an excuse that I don't have enough to save because even today I'm hand to mouth. So we are saying as little as you can have, even 50 shillings per let's say even per day, even as 20 shillings per day. But the most important thing we need to do is just to sensitize our people and tell them, yes, you're able to save even if it means 10 shillings per day, and there are opportunities, and this is where you can put your money, and we can assure you that once you've done that, having invested that money, then tomorrow you can be able to get it without a lot of hassle. Because what we have seen before is that we see people who work in the government. For example, it hurts when you see teachers having to queue and saying, I have been retired for the last 10 years. I can't access my retirement benefits. We need to bring that to a stop, and that's where we come in.
Yes, then of course there is the large informal part of our economy. The fact that traditionally, we used to call it Juakali, now it's actually about 85% of our economy. And there were no real avenues for these people to save long term, apart from, of course, putting your cash in banks where it would be eroded by things like inflation and that sort of thing. And this is still to change for a lot of them. What then is the legacy that we are bringing to this? How do we start to bring these guys to the table?
Yeah, and that's why we are saying communication is very important, because right now we have platforms where you can save without even having to go to queue to the bank. You have your M-Pesa platform, everyone has a phone. You can save as little as 20 bob per day, and there are opportunities where you're putting that money. And one of the challenges has been, if I started saving for long term and at some point I'm not able to save, then you kind of lose your money, or there's you are not sure that you'll be able to catch up, or there's a penalty. Today we are saying you can save your 100 for a week. If you're not able to save next week, then we are saying you can start again the other week, and there will be no penalty for that. And the industry has grown. The pensions industry has grown. We have come up with products that allow you to save with flexibility, such that when you save within 1 month and the next other month you're not able to save, then there is no penalty for that. But the key thing here, we are saying we need to communicate and sensitize people on that, and we appreciate what media is doing.
So then let's talk about the Institute of Pension Management and the fact that we've painted this woeful picture of the status of savings especially long-term in Kenya today. What is your role in turning this around?
One of our great things that we desire to do is to professionalize the pension industry. Because when you're dealing with professionals, then you're sure when you put in your money, because this has been one of the challenges, that when I put my money for the next 30 years, will I really get it when I'm 60? And so when we bring professionalism in the industry, then we are saying there is corporate governance. We are dealing with people who are held accountable. And as the institute, we are saying, let people go back to class. We are looking forward to a time when we are saying, if you're involved in saving for the future, if you're involved in pension management, then you need to have a professional certification. We need to have a body, like the way we see accountants with ISPAC. We need to hold each other accountable such that in case we get to a point where we realize you're not practicing professionalism and corporate governance, we can say, then you're not fit for the game. So we want to come in and bring professionalism in the industry so that our people can get back the trust that, yes, we can save and get our money.
The thing about the pensions industry is that it brings together a lot of professionals. If you look at the entire value chain, for example, I'll give my own personal example. I have a personal pension plan at Zimele Asset Management. So we have the pension manager, we have the asset manager, then you have a custodian, then you have other people in that equation, 5 or 6 of them, who literally are dealing with your pension. So when we say professionalization, what does it mean for each person along that value chain, that they will have to come to the table and get what sort of certification?
What that means, Peter, is that we are bringing all these service providers together, if we may call them that way, because that's who they are. There is the investment manager, there is the custodian, there is the person that is talking to people and telling them, yes, invest your money, so the communication person. So we are bringing all these people together, and as the institute, we have one course that we call Certified Pension Manager. When you do the Certified Pension Manager, it's a course of about 18 units. When you're done with that, you become an all-rounded professional in pension management. Other than that, we have 5 other certificates which are touching on custodians, which are touching on administrators, which are touching on asset managers, we are touching on investors and accountants and auditors.
The largest custodian of pension funds or that kind of fund in this country is the NSSF. And the fact that a lot of government and literally private sector feed into this one fund, do you think that your body is able to enable those people to get the sort of qualifications that you're talking about? Because we have seen lots of headlines sometimes when these guys are too heavy in real estate, they're supposed to achieve this balance, sometimes they're being told publish your annual results, these sorts of things.
And where we are coming from, Peter, you'll appreciate is that for a very long time until where we are today, the Institute of Pension Management was started in 2016. That is basically last year. We just launched like 2-3 weeks ago. And what you'll appreciate is that we didn't have any college or any institute, for that matter, that would take you through pension professionalism. So as the government owns the biggest chunk of these pension assets, we are saying, what are these people been working on? Because you can give me a job, but as long as you don't empower me, then you don't expect me to give you the best results. So we are saying, as the Institute of Pension Management, and we are working with the government through the RBA, which is the regulator, we desire and we are open to ensure that all the people who are working in the NSSF, the government and the private sector can get their empowerment with the Institute of Pension Management.
I was actually going to ask you about legal backing and the fact that if you have a grounding in law, then it's a requirement for these people to come and get the sort of certification that we are talking about. Do you have that backing in law? Are we going to get it if it's not there? What should we look out or push towards in the future?
One of the things that we have done as the institute is that when we came on board, we appreciate the fact that we have been using the curriculum that has been internationally developed. It has been UK-based. We didn't have one that was African-made. As an institute, we have taken a very big step. We were able to develop our own curriculum that is appreciating and accommodating the Kenyan and African system. So that is one of the greatest achievements that we've had, that we have only been able to do with the support of the government through the CDAC, which is the certification a Curriculum Development Assessment Certification Council.
Yes.
So that is the government body, together also with the TVETA, which is the technical and vocational body that supports the technical colleges. So we have made a very big step. They are supporting us 100%. We have the Ministry of Education in support of us.
Yes.
We have RBA. They are aware that we are there. We are working on mechanism of how we can work together so that there is that legal backup and the whole government systems with us.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about the consumer end once again as we start to come towards the end of our interview.
Yeah.
The fact that for a nation of about 40 million people, we have about just, so to say, 20,000, 25,000 mortgages.
Yeah.
And the fact that housing is a crisis in this country. And yet we actually passed a law that you can use up to 60% of your retirement benefits, your pension, to stand in for a mortgage.
Yeah.
So how come people are not starting to utilize these sorts of things?
I would say once again it's about communication, because you see, you have that information. Well, I've been out there, Peter, talking about pension and the possibility of people saving. And the moment you tell someone about pension, the reaction is, I don't have money to save. Until you go down with them and you tell them, what are you talking? What do you mean you don't have money? By the time you're telling them your 20 shillings can count in the next 50 years, they are like, oh, fine, then where can I put this money? The bottom line is we need to intentionally educate and sensitize our society that, yes, there is this opportunity, so that you are able to say, yes, I need mortgage, I can utilize this, it can be there in the government. Remember, there are so many opportunities that are there with the government, but unless you have the information, then you end up out there suffering, thinking, I can't get help. And that's what happens with many of us. But as an institute, we are saying the moment you come and enroll with us, you get our courses, then you become one of the great ambassadors. And you know what? One of the best things about being an ambassador of pension, saving for retirement, is that it brings back to you rewards. Because you can be seated at your office, you're talking to people about saving for retirement, and you earn commissions out of that. So you don't even have to go to the offices looking for jobs, but you are earning commission by just telling people, save as little as you can, and from what they are saving, and that money is invested in the right channels, then as they get their returns, you're also earning a commission from that. So we need just to intentionally sensitize our people.
Okay.
Yes.
Indeed, thank you very much, Irene Nyaga, Principal at the Institute of Pension Management. I know we've barely just begun to scratch the surface.
Yes.
But national savings is a favorite topic here at KTN Business Today, so we'll definitely be having you back in studio to be able to give us a bit more insight into that conversation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Peter. We appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Okay, indeed.